Hi, everybody. Recruiting Animal here. What day is it? It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2024. Okay. Okay. Style, I like this one. Style, I think you might have commented. I'm not sure. Style versus substance on a cold call. This guy wrote on LinkedIn. He said, no, I think it was on Twitter, every outbound expert. Yeah, he's a tech sales guy. He's not a recruiter. He said, every outbound expert has a take on how to cold call. They'll say, don't ask, how are you? Don't say, is it a good time? Avoid close-ended questions. Eliminate filler words. I don't know what a filler word is. I'm in awe. That's not a word. Anyway.
Filler words, fluff.
Okay. No, I don't know. I know what fluff means, but what is a fluff?
So a filler word would be something like
you don't know either, okay?
No, I do. It's like if you were to say, "Hey, you have this great background," and then you're like, and all right, I know, like,
okay, that's what I said 5 minutes ago.
Filler
okay,
words.
Let me finish this, okay? He says, okay, now it's interrupted, but all those experts, they're all telling you, don't say this, don't say that, don't use this, don't use that. But this guy says, however, I've seen sales reps have incredible success doing all those things, okay?
A blind dog finds a bone.
No, he says how you talk is more important than what you say. And I'm going to agree with that, okay? Although the people who talk well, they don't usually use those dumb. I hope you are. How great the day. I hope you're fine to find you well. They don't usually talk like that. Yeah. Like you and Rich, I always note, and Amy, they have a very good, pleasant man. It's fun to talk to those people, okay? And so I don't think it matters what you say. It's how you say it just as much. It's just as important.
Well, I think what you say actually has to have substance too. So yeah, how you say it is very important. But also what you say has some importance to it as well. I mean, you can't, if you don't know what you're talking about, I don't care how good you are on the phone, that there has to be some substance. So yes, yes, you were very right. How you talk is very important, but there has to be substance too.
He's not referring to the substance of your service or your product. He's talking about the way you introduce it. Greetings of the day. I hope this email finds you well. How's your family? Are you okay?
Hi, how are you today?
Yeah.
Right? Like, again, I don't think any successful, a guy who talks well, a girl who talks well is going to open the conversation with that. It doesn't mean that there aren't recruiters who have opened the conversation and have found stuff with that. I just can't see any successful cold caller thinking that is a way to open a conversation. Hi, how are you?
Now, if they're really a good talker, they might not say those foolish things. But
exactly.
My gut tells me he's right. You might have someone who's got English as a second language. Like I used to work with a guy. He had English as a second language. He uses all kinds of phrases that I would never use. And yet he was a hustler. He had no fear. He always wanted to make a sale, and he was a good recruiter, okay, and a big money maker. And so I'm with this guy, okay. Now that's a special case. It's English as a second language, but even if it's your first language, then if you can get by with English as a second language, certainly as a first, even if you're not the greatest. But I think okay. You know what? But there's a follow-up question. Maybe it's not even how you talk that makes the like we often talk about, what about these recruiters who are cold fish personalities? Okay. They can make a lot of money as well. We don't know anybody because they don't come on this show. Okay. they're not on the show, but I'm heard of them. And I don't think anybody here has ever pointed anybody out. Okay. Like Rich goes to those. He's always praising the guys in the Pinnacle Club, top recruiters. Big bucks recruiters, and
big billers.
Big billers. He never mentions anybody who is introverted or a cold fish as being one of those guys, right?
I mean, to join a group it's hard to join a group like that and be a cold fish, right? So just joining that
Maybe
group
you're right.
is going to be difficult.
That's a good point. Self-selection.
Right?
They select themselves out. We don't.
Yeah.
They're hidden.
But I'm sure, like I think we talked about this before. Jeff, who used to work for us, was not the most outgoing guy. He was a math nerd. He just wanted to make a lot of money. He was very disciplined. So he just followed Finkel's stuff and management recruiter stuff to the T and did very well. 600 grand producer back in the early 2000s. So he was, I guess you would consider a big biller today, right? That's $1 million guy today. And he did not have the outgoing personality. He was not, he was an introvert. He was a math nerd.
Okay, I think now I remember that you mentioned that, but okay, he's not with you anymore. Is he still a recruiter?
No. Actually, he got divorced. He's driving a truck.
So, why? Why when he's got the sales skills?
So because it was very difficult for him, right? It was very, very difficult for him to do this job. Every day was a taxing job. It was very, very difficult.
He was billing $600,000 a year. Did you say? Is that what you said?
That's what he was. Yeah, he did. His best year was 600 grand. But
come on, and it was still. He felt it was difficult.
He made probably 280, 250, and I think he just got burned out because it didn't fit his personality. Right? Like I don't know. In my world, there's a thing called detailing, where you detail out a building before the construction drawings go to erection, right? It is the most mind-numbing job in the world. You have to literally sit there and basically take a giant Lego set, count all the pieces, and make sure all the pieces match up to the instructions, and then write a report about it. There's not enough money in the world you could pay me to do that job. I couldn't. I would literally kill myself. I would probably be so depressed and so frustrated I would shoot myself over that job. And I think maybe that's how he felt about recruiting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but at least he was making money. I know what you mean. I used to do when I started out working engineering, and you might have a complex tool even that you're building, and every different part has to have a drafted diagram. Okay, it's very complicated.
So it's very complicated, and there's lots of stuff you have to look at, and you got to look. Does this match this? Like that's just such a tedious to me. Oh my God, I can't fathom that.
Okay,
I don't care how much money you paid me. I can't fathom that.
It reminded me when I was a teenager, I was an usher at a movie theater, and I hated it. So I always hated working. I hated it so much. I mean, there's not much to do. It was just so boring, right? And when I would be doing my homework during the week, if I would hear like this one movie where it was drumming at the beginning of the ad, if I would hear that drumming, my heart would stop because it would mean on the weekend I had to see that movie 5 times again. It would just drive me
I was a
crazy.
bouncer. People think bouncing's cool. Bouncing's boring 95% of the time because you're just standing there going ID. Like, that's the same thing.
Well, at least you're taking a look at the people, I guess. But I found that I didn't work that often on the front door. You know, they don't have ushers anymore. They don't. Well, I was a flashlight guy, right?
Oh, okay.
Or the worst was when people barfed. Whoa, that was the worst. Okay, someone wants to join. Okay. Oh, it's Richie Rosen. Oh, okay. You know, it shows me that he wants to come in, and then there's a note that comes up and blocks the. Anyways, here, Super Rich Rosen. I'm going to do an ad for Richie right off the bat. Tommy, do you have any ads? I mean, if you want to promote something, you can do it. You got here first. No,
I mean the round table, but that's
there's no round table on Friday.
There's no round table this Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
You got the beard and the beach background.
Oh yeah, he's got a beard.
He's like thinks he's like Thomas Magnum.
You know what? I have it in my mind. Something was a little different, but it didn't occur to me. Isn't that funny? Well,
this is just I've still not hit puberty. This is about 40 days of not shaving.
I was going to say this is since about 9 this morning. I was going to say it's good.
Yeah,
I was watching an old movie with Clint Eastwood yesterday, and I don't know if they made his beard more black, but he was very clean shaven, and you could just see a huge outline of black around his face. I wonder if that's a problem for recruiters. If somebody sees you and they don't like those 5 o'clock shadows.
Again, right?
Okay,
Like,
let's
me
come
and
back.
Rich, fuck 'em.
Yeah. Whoop.
You're not hiring me because I look good, right? If you were hiring me because I look good, I wouldn't make any placements.
Okay, well, actually, we have to come back to that first question with Rich. But first, everybody, Rich is one of the superest recruiters in America. Okay, he's on the Forbes list. He's not number one, but he's the number one solo recruiter. Okay, America's recruiter. That's what we like to call him. And he is now teaching you to be like him. Okay, it's like Superman saying, "You want to fly? I'm gonna tell you how." He's got every morning. The cut rate is you go to the group. You can go to the group 8:45 in the morning Eastern every Thursday. Okay, and he'll teach you privately if you want as well. Now it's his email is rich@cornerstonesearch.com. Or you can go to Moore, Moore, essentials.com, and you can contact him there. And they've got other people, but no, Rich is the guy you want, okay?
The guy in the trenches doing it.
Yeah, okay. Rich, we got really confused on this. This tech sales guy said, look, there's all kinds of advice for cold callers. Don't say, do you have a minute? Don't say, are you busy? Don't say, how are you today? Okay. Is now a good time? Don't say those things. He said, but I've known all kinds of sales rep who say all those things and they're making tons of money. It's how you talk rather than what you say that makes the difference. Now, I'm going to tell you the problem we had that Tom pointed out, that if you're really a good communicator and you speak well, you're not going to say those things. So I'm not sure. Does this tech sales guy have a point? Is it how you talk over what you say?
I think it's a combination. It's like you got to have an opener, right? You know, a lot of times people just say, "Hey, can you hear me?" You know, because I've had a hard time. I've had phone issues today. It just throws people off their game. Like I usually just say, "Hey, did I get you at the worst possible time?" And then they chuckle and they talk. You know, I think you need a good opener. It's not the end all be all, but it helps. So there's
So you
again,
never say, hi, I'm Rich Rosen. I'm a headhunter and I'd like a few minutes of your time. Chat about a position I'm working on.
I probably have. I've said everything. I've said, "Hey, did I get you at a good time?" I hate when I say it, but I say it. You know.
Hey, this is Tom Malascio. I'm a headhunter. We've never spoken before. I know you're busy. I'll be brief.
Yeah. Or I just say,
my call is I got a great position. I know of a great candidate, blah, 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 right? I don't even give them a chance to tell me it's not a good time. I want that 35, 45 seconds to just slam it right at them and see what happens.
Yeah, I wouldn't go the whole 45 seconds, but I would, you know, if it's a client, it's like, "Hey, I'm just following up on an email. If I sent you this candidate, you know, thought it's someone you could use." And they're going to say, "I didn't see it." Well, hey, well, that's great. This guy that called you, because I don't want you to miss out. This guy has done X, Y, and Z. You know, from what I understand about company X, you know, it seems like it'd be a no-brainer. You know, and if it's candidate, you know, if it on the candidate side, you flip it around.
Tom wants to say something, or is he?
No,
seems
that's fine.
It's.
Is
this a new thing?
Back to that question. Yes, it's important how you say it, but any of us good people who know how to say it aren't going to say that crappy shit. We're just not.
Okay. Rich just said he's.
And we're all well. Okay, that's not okay. So yes, we occasionally say the crap. I do say, "Hi, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" And I go like, "What the fuck am I doing?" Like, so yeah, it has to happen. I want Rich's comment. I want him to comment on that thing you were talking about. Is anybody in Pinnacle an introvert?
Oh yeah, totally there are. But to back up for a second, but it's like, but the funny thing is, you say some shitty opener, you can always just say, like, I talk to sales guys all the time, so it's easy for me because they say the same thing. You can always say, "Oh, dude, I am so sorry. That was a horrible opener." You know,
horrible.
You know, it's like, just I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna hang up and call you right back if it helps. You know, because he's making a joke. Who cares?
What if you make a joke and they don't laugh? The comedians always say, "Come on, okay, could you say that?"
Of course you can. I mean, listen, some people just suck. What can I tell you? You know, I mean, and honestly, listen, especially any sales guy that has never made a bad cold call is full of shit. I don't care if he's been doing it for 30 years or 30 days. They still make a bad phone call every week, every day at some point.
All the time.
I mean, seriously.
Let's say you're interviewing a sales rep. Is that a good question? Do you think what you say is more important than how you say it? Is that a decent question?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a softball question.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean-
We're having a lot of problems sorting it out. It's not a softball question.
It's not, we're not so having a problem sorting it out. I think we sorted it out.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's yeah.
I got one comment before. Not everyone can talk as fast as Tom. Hi, it's Tom Alascio. I'm ahead of her. I'm going to talk to you for 45 seconds.
So when I first started, true story, I first started my first week, somebody called the office and said, some guy called from your company. He was super excited, but I have no idea what he said. Right? So my boss wrote in really big letters, slow down.
Yeah, I
on my
used
whiteboard
to have
in
it
front
on
of
my
my desk. So I would
I used
slow
to have
down.
my monitor too. But you bring up the best point though. Like to what Animal said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Like talking fast, it shows excitement. Like if you're smiling and you're talking fast, like, dude, this thing is so good. I don't want you to. I don't. If you're not interested, I don't have time to fucking waste for you. I got to go on to the next one. Like people get excited. They don't want to miss out.
Yeah.
You know.
Fear of missing out, man. Fear of missing out's a thing. FOMO's a thing.
But think about it, because if you leave a voicemail for someone, or you get someone on the phone, you're like, "Hey, I've got this great job for you." You know, I mean, the guy's gonna be like, "Thanks, Cliff." Yeah, like how many guys call you for like guys calling you to buy fucking silver or some donkey investment, right? But if you're like, "Hey, listen, this thing, I got this great thing. I don't know if it's right for you, but this thing is better than whatever."
Case in point. Boiler Room. Remember how he gets the guy on the phone? He's excited and he gets the guy the fear of missing out. We can only sell you 100 shares. Sorry.
Yep.
And the guy's like, wait, why not? Why can't I buy? Like all of a sudden, like it's that fear of missing out. It's that excitement where that doctor was like, I got to get on this. If I don't get in on this, I could lose out.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. That's a great movie. It's a great sales training.
What about that first cold call on Wolf of Wall Street, where they're shocked? He goes to that small company.
I haven't seen Wolf of Wall Street, unfortunately.
He's like he's in that little. He was in his garage or in that firm or a little boiler room firm. Yeah, it's funny. There's a guy in Pinnacle. His father was roommates with the Wolf of Wall Street for a semester. Total coke scene.
What's his name? Jordan Belfort or something like that?
Yeah, he's got a big sales training company now too.
Yeah, he was here recently.
In the Animal Show.
No, it would be nice. I would. You couldn't miss that. Okay, but you're dodging Tom's question. Okay, you said you'd get back to it.
Yeah.
Do those boring talkers? Are there any of them in the Pinnacle Society?
100%, absolutely. There's a bunch.
Do you think they do more like on splits or manage a team, or are they actually good recruiters?
No, I mean, I think they're good recruiters. I mean, they're not the guys that are going to light the room up because they're full of personality, but doesn't mean they're bad recruiters. But
you just said you have to sound exciting on the phone.
You do this all the time. You make everything. You make
There's exceptions to every rule. We need to put that on animals.
You make
I'm going to
everything
change my name to exception to every rule. Tom,
hang on. With animal, everything is on or off.
Yep.
All right. I didn't say everything. You put that word into it. I said I think it makes a difference. But again, you being high energy. It doesn't mean if you're not high energy, it doesn't mean you're a bad salesperson or bad. I know plenty of low energy sellers, they get very prescriptive and they get very methodical about the process and they have a very deliberate approach. And for their market, it works. The guys I'm thinking about, they do more accounting and banking.
I was just about to say, is it accounting or lawyers? Because I think those two industries would probably be more acceptable of a more methodical kind of low key. Like I think I would probably not do very well recruiting accountants.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. But even then, you know what? You do find some fun accountants occasionally. Yeah. But there's a guy that does environmental. There's a guy that does environmental. We all think he's basically recruiting for the mafia. I mean, a guy who makes a couple of $1 million a year.
Okay.
And basically placing folks in the sanitation business,
Don't make me have to delete this so you don't get killed, okay?
I placed a shredder manager, and the company that they wanted me to recruit from was owned by the mafia, and we wouldn't recruit out of Connecticut.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm not kidding. This guy was in jail for 8 years that owned a company. He was in prison for 8 years, and they were like, "Can you get us a guy from that company?" I'm like, "You fucking kidding me? No."
No. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, there's plenty of people. In all honesty, I would tell you in Pinnacle, I bet you half the people I would say are not like hyper energetic. You know,
Really, I thought you were going to say half of them have ADHD.
but no, they all have ADHD, like 90%. Literally.
Oh, really? And you can be quiet and with ADHD? I thought they
Yeah, my
were
wife
skinny.
is very
Yeah,
low key, and she has ADHD.
Oh yeah,
I got it. Tom's got it. You got it.
yeah. But do I?
You know?
Well,
I
yeah, I
guess-
do have some symptoms that I read about lately, but I've never been diagnosed.
I have the test here.
Rich and I tend to be on the. Also, I think you and I tend to be on the more further left side of excitability and energy, right? Than in any industry, in anything. Like we're those type of people. We like I thrive as a bartender. I could do stand up comedy. I mean, none of that stuff scares me, right? So we have that type of energy. So we are kind of almost an anomaly, because when you start thinking about all the other recruiters, like the ones that are on my roundtable, they're all, they have energy. They're good talkers. They have great personalities, but do they have the fucking psychotic energy that I have? Probably not.
They don't have the confidence. They don't have the confidence. They don't really believe in what they're selling, half of them. And I think that's the biggest problem most recruiters have.
Ernie is a slow talker, and he's very confident. Okay.
Yeah, he's a slow talker. He's confident. And
He's not molasses slow.
but he's exactly. But he's also not a low key guy either.
He's not talking like you. Though. Oh, he's not low key.
You know.
No, he's quite bold, and he states his mind. Okay, should I move? Okay, here's one that we keep coming back to, but I find these good questions. They're perennials. Okay, this guy says, and he's a big seller. Okay, now he's a sales trainer. He says nobody wants to be sold, and everybody hates pressure. People want to make their own decisions and feel empowered to have choices, not be sold to. So your job is not to sell them. It's to understand their needs, see if what you're offering is a good fit, and then show them if it is, and then let them make up their own mind. If it's good for them, they will buy. But does everyone agree with that?
But again,
No.
there's no black and white. You can't say that for everything. There's some people that you need to push. Other people, if you push them, they're gonna step away. You know,
the fear of missing out. Like you got
to make it. You have to make people feel it's their own decision, and it's not easy to do, and it's not going to work for everyone. You know, some people you just got to say, listen, do you want it or you don't want it? You know, the takeaway is the best. You know, the best thing in this business, I think. You know, and it tells you what you need to know.
So you consider pushing, it's the takeaway. Say, look, we're going to take it off. You're not interested? Fine. Well, I'll put this guy.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
Let him take another job.
I think if you have to truly sell someone on an opportunity, the likelihood of them backing out is so high. You know, especially if they don't start, if they do a delayed start date. It's just
No, but hold on. So this guy equates sales with pressure. It's you make up your mind for your customer, and then you move that person in that direction. And you just said, yes, some people have to be pushed. But you gave one example.
There's no hard fast rule.
Yeah.
It just depends.
What does pushing amount to then? You gave one example of, look, you're not interested. Let's take it off the table. I'm going to pull away. Okay.
The whole conversation and the context. Why are they looking? Why are they talking to you? You know, what's the money that's on the table? What do they have any real reason for moving? You know, or I mean, if someone tells you, hey, listen, I love my manager, I love my patch, I'm on pace to make $1 million this year. You know, company's going to go public in 2 years. What am I going to do? I mean, like, what are you going to say to this guy that's going to say, oh, okay, you got to interview tomorrow. This is going to be even better. I mean, the only thing you can do is ask the guy and say, listen, you know, I mean, it sounds like you're in a great position. I mean, you know, I got to ask you, is there any possible thing that would get you off, to look at something better? You know, and chances are they're going to say no, or it's going to have to be like a ridiculous guarantee that you're never going to get. So then you start talking about, well, listen, who do you know that's like you? Who do you know who would you hire if you were building a team tomorrow? And then you get into that conversation, you start talking to the guy a little bit more, get to know them a little bit more. They start opening up to you. And then you can, see if they are, and sometimes they'll come around and say, you know what, I would be interested. It sounds like an interesting role. And, there are some things going on at my company that, are a little shifty. Things are changing, new management.
I like that line. Let's just highlight that one. What was it? Now, if I don't interrupt, I don't remember. What was the one you just said? Okay, if you were going to hire a team, who would you pick? Is that what you? Yeah. What did you say?
It's a nice way. It's a nice way of asking for a referral. Because
what was it?
It's if you were building a team, who are those three people who you would call first?
Okay.
Who would you bring on?
Okay.
And I also asked, I know that I called you, but what would motivate you to make a job change? And if we do get down that primrose path later on, I'll ask them, tell me why this job is better than the one you have now. And if they can't give me something besides money, I know that I'm going to get a counteroffer. Right. So to Rich's point, when you're talking to these candidates and they throw that big thing out at you, I got this, this, and this, right? Yeah, you're not going to sell that. But why do we use rebuttals, right? Isn't rebuttal selling? When a candidate says, I'm happy where I'm at, does that guy not do anything? Right? If that guy says, oh, you don't sell. If you call a candidate on the phone, he says, hi, my name's Tom, I'm a headhunter, I got this, I'm happy where I'm at. Does he say, okay? Or does he say, I didn't call you because I thought you were unhappy. I called you because if you were unhappy, you'd have called me. I have an opportunity that's better than the one you have to put more money in your pocket, blah, 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 blah. Right? Like, that's selling. Is that not selling?
Yeah. Well, you're not pushing the guy. This guy
he just said you don't sell. Right?
But what does sell mean? Sell doesn't say, hey, this is great, and I'm going to tell you why.
Sell does not mean pushing. Sell means educating.
No, he says that's what you have to do. Educate, let the person make up their own mind.
But he says you don't have to sell, you don't sell them?
Selling, if you put two and two together from what he says, the first thing he says, nobody wants to be sold to, and everybody hates pressure. That means being sold to is pressure. Okay, this is great. It's better than what you've got now. You've got to say yes to this, Billy. Okay, isn't that what selling is? You can't miss out on this, Billy.
Is it when a candidate says, I'm happy where I'm at? Me telling them I didn't call you because I thought you were unhappy, not selling?
How annoying would it be if a candidate says, you tell a candidate you're making a mistake on your first conversation? I mean, if he says, I'm all happy, and you're like, you're making a mistake, I'd be like,
this is a guy who sends emails out with the subject line, you still want to work for that asshole.
Yeah, hey, listen, sometimes it works, but you got to know your audience.
I think Rich makes a good point. You got to know your audience. I mean, that's a very broad statement. No one wants to be sold. I like to be sold, right?
Yeah,
I want to know.
Salespeople like to be sold because they want to know what's better. What am I missing out on?
Sell me. What is that? Wait, what's that old thing? Sell me this pen. Sell me this pen.
But it's disappointing when you get a bad salesperson. Like you demo a software. And like this is a huge pet peeve of mine. You've got you schedule a call with a company, and like say you just missed a call, you forget, like your Outlook alarm thing didn't go off or whatever, you forget about it, and that salesperson doesn't call me. All right, yeah, my fault, I missed it, but shame on that sales guy for not picking up the phone and being, hey, are we still on? Because I mean it happens. You just forget. I mean I get candidates that forget. I call them up and they're like, oh God, I'm so glad you called. You get lost in your work or doing whatever.
So Rich, if your candidates don't call you, call the cops on.
My pet peeve is I set up a call to view a new software, and I know more about the software than the guy selling me the software, or I break it because I tell him to do this, this, and this, and it doesn't work, and he has no answer for me.
Well, that goes to my point of 99% of the software out there for recruiters, fucking useless. Most of it is just another list that you could have just built on LinkedIn for the same price or for free. Or whatever you're paying LinkedIn for. I find most of the software utterly meaningless.
That's why it's to me, everybody just shitting on Canbox. I'm like, dude, it was $49 one-time payment. I can send out a bunch of automated LinkedIn connection requests. That's worth to me. That's all I would sign up for Octopus for at $50 a month.
Well, that's it. That's why you buy them. Like I'm trying this one now called Blink Compose or something like that. It's a little wonky still, but I just tested it out like last night. And you put in like your company profile, your brand, all that kind of stuff, and you just click and you say, "I want to talk like Gary V or this guy." It's basically a pre-programmed Chat GPT prompt. But for $40, it will build a whole string of a whole beautiful campaign trail. I just tested it at once, and the email route was fantastic. So for $40, who cares? If
Yeah.
it works,
Yeah.
you get
Where'd you see it on AppSumo?
No, I saw it. It wasn't it was just a deal they had going on Facebook.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Tom.
Blink
Go ahead.
Compose.
What?
Blink Compose.
I think that's what's for Blink Compose. Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
Rich, let me go back a minute though. I liked what you kind of told us. I'm the only word that comes to mind. I don't know if it's appropriate. Is a seductive approach. You had that guy says, no, I'm making $1 million. I'm set to make in 2 years $1 million a year, and so you said I'm going to move to this referral request. Well, if you were going to build a team, who would you call first? But then you went on. I can't remember exactly what you said. And then you said at the end, the guy said, you know what, sounds kind of interesting. Maybe I would. So what happened? You ask him if he knows somebody, in other words, with your good way of doing it. Who would you call? And he said, well, tell me a little more about the position, or let me tell you a little more about. And then when he hears about it, then he falls into your lap. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I ended up telling the guy he wasn't the right fit, but it's because he really wasn't. He was too senior. There's no way the guy was going to move for this particular role. But I just lost my train of thought. But basically, everyone's first reaction generally is no. Like if someone cold calls you, your initial action is get the guy off the phone, right? I mean, that's it. So your whole thing is just to diffuse that initial, pattern interrupt, they call it, right? It's just to diffuse that whole situation. Again, listen, I'm not like everyone else. I'm not trying to sell you a bag of garbage. Listen, but it's anything you can do to get these guys on your side to help them understand you're here for the long haul. Like, yeah, you're not interested today. That's okay. But here's what I do. Here's how I can help you. Here's where I can help point in the right direction in the future, because you want to build those long-term relationships. And if you do a good,
sorry, I got to ask a question because I keep forgetting. It keeps coming to mind. Do you have a problem once the person says no, and then you sort of entice him to say, yeah, I would like to take a look. Do you have any qualms at that point and say, no, I don't want you. You're no good.
This guy yesterday, I'm like, well, listen, I mean, let's find a little bit more info. I mean, your background's great, but it may not be right for this particular role at the company.
Yeah, but first you talked him in. He said no. You got him to say yes, and then you say no. I'm not interested.
Yeah, it's all right. It's like how many times you gone to the bar when you were younger, right? And talked to a girl, and then she's like no, and you're like, I'll buy you a drink. And then she's like, okay, sure. Oh, nope, still don't want you. It's the same thing. You got to find out a little bit. You're the whole goal is like, yeah, on paper you look great, but doesn't mean you are great. It means, hey, listen, like this in this particular case, the guy didn't want to be a hunter anymore. He really wanted to be a farmer if he was going to move.
You would tell him those words?
Yeah, why? That's what he said he wanted. I wasn't me telling him.
Oh, he said it himself.
Usually
that's the hunter is macho, the farmer.
It all depends on. It all depends on the company and the role, but it's just the, reality is I'm like, could I send him in? Sure. Would he get an interview? Absolutely. Would he fail? Absolutely. So the guy respects the fact that you say, listen, you know what? I mean, I think you sound great, just not great for this particular opportunity. I'm happy to get the resume and see if there's other roles the company they can use you for right now,
And if someone resents the way you're blunt with them, tough luck. Is that everybody's, that's what a recruiter has to think, right?
Yeah, because you got a job to do. You're not trying to, and by telling them the honest truth, most people appreciate it. I mean, as long as you're not a jerk about it, like, dude, you're like, what are you, a fucking clown? This is what you did? I can't help you. No, I mean, then you're going to piss them off. But if you're like, listen, I think you sound great. It's just not right for what I've got today. And
firing people. Oh, go ahead, Tom.
I mean, Rich, it's a good point. There's nothing wrong. We're not social workers, right? We don't help candidates. We help our clients, right? I'm not a social worker. If I can't help you, I just tell you, hey, I'm sorry, that's not my cup of tea, or you don't fit, or they like somebody better, and just be honest. Don't ghost them, and you'll be good to go. And if they get their feelings hurt, that's not your problem.
No, I mean, listen, we're commission-only people. Like these people that and I say this like every week, it seems like, because everyone talks about it. The people that want to be busy are not productive. They're not making any money. They may talk a great game, but they're not making any money. Like as I've told you plenty of times, there's plenty of people that are smarter than me. They're better talkers than me. They're better writers than me, but they're busy. They're not productive.
What does it mean? What's busy?
Busy is just working on anything that comes your way,
Or
talking
getting
to
ready to get ready. Getting ready to get ready.
Like doing all this prep on a 2-second phone call. Like you spend 20 minutes prepping for a call that takes 10 seconds. Or you're just talking to any candidate that possibly wants to talk to you. I mean, it's a waste of time.
Well,
Being a generalist, in my
I've
opinion,
been scolded before for not hyper personalizing. You don't know anything about me. Remember one guy scolded me. You don't know anything about me. Why don't you do some research before you give me a call, right?
You know what I tell people? Like, I guess I have sales guys that will give me that bullshit too. Sometimes I'm like, honestly, you know what? If I had 100 accounts like you, I would. But I've got 100,000 people to talk to. So if you're not really good, and if you're too good to see what a good opportunity is, then you're right. You're probably not the right fit. And I should have done more homework on it, and I shouldn't have wasted my time calling you. But
see,
so
that's another. Can we all have a contest on who can yawn the
line at like a line at the zoo with the big beard? God,
I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot to take my Adderall.
That's okay. No, that's okay. But
that's what sucks, man. I have to take medicine for
you've got good
ADHD.
teeth.
and I
You don't have
forget
to worry.
take
We can see right into your teeth.
Big canines, Tom. Big canines.
I got a bunch of. I told you a bunch of crowns put in this just this spring. Oh, okay, but what was? Yeah, well, Tom. I was thinking though. Tom is he's always saying, I was a bartender. I know how to get along with people. Does a bartender can't be a people pleaser then? But he's got to be friendly. But he's got to be able to say, I don't care if you don't like me.
You got to tell them, they need to leave. You're not dressed properly. I mean, yeah, like the customer, that old saying, the customer's always right. No, the customer is right when it comes to style and colors and all that. It's just sometimes the customer is an asshole. And as a bartender, you have to walk that line of knowing how to handle each customer differently. And that's what I think is benefited me, because I use the term Yale or jail. I can talk to someone who just graduated from Yale or just got out of jail, and that is from bartending, working in Disney as a bouncer. I dealt with people from everywhere, no matter what walks of life.
That old joke that Yale, you remember that joke? Yeah, I went to Yale, and they're like, "Thanks for the yob."
Oh yeah, thanks for the yob. Yeah, so I've had to throw people out of bars. I've had to tell them, no, you can't have any more to drink, and you just don't be an asshole. I mean, it really comes down to you can tell people what not to do or give them bad news. Just don't be an asshole. Don't be a jerk.
Okay, but you know what? Here's the thing: we're coaching the candidates. Like, I'm your buddy. I'm in the corner of the boxing ring. I'm on your side. I think you're a great fit for this company, and then you have to tell them no. You didn't make it. Okay. I think that's stressful for a lot of people.
It can be, but I think the line, instead of saying, I think, like, hey, you have the qualifications my client's looking for, right? And then you get the resume and you send them out on the interview and they say, hey, it looks like this is going to be a good fit. It's good for you, good for them. And then they don't get the job. Sometimes it doesn't work. And if you can't handle that, then you should not be in this business. This is part of the business. Like I always say, you cannot control fall-offs, turn downs, or counter offers. There's nothing you can do to control them. When you work with people change their minds, and you can't control that. If you'll go crazy.
The short version is just, listen, everything you do should be a long-term relationship. You should be able to tell candidates, hey, it didn't work out. We're trying to get feedback, or just, hey, listen, they went a different direction. Guy said more experience. I mean, tell them something, if you've got constructive feedback for them and you feel these guys aren't crazy, you can tell them, hey, listen, this is what they thought. You needed, you're weak in this area, or we should work on this area. So for the next interview, I just placed a guy. I literally did the exact same thing. He came off, he didn't get the first job that I had him in front of. I told him, hey, here was what we got to work on for the next one, because he was a good candidate. He was just very dry. And, so I told him what we had to do for the next one, and the guy listened, and he ended up getting this great job. And he was super appreciative, super thankful for it.
He changed his personality from one interview to the next.
It's just how he answered his questions. He's a British guy, so he's still a little dry, but he was, but he just framed things a little bit better. He smiled a little bit more in the interviews and just showed, listen, I even said, we had him even say in the interview, basically, that, hey, listen, I'm not going to be the guy with the lampshade on my head, but I am the guy that's going to get it done for you. And that's
that alone was probably that alone probably would have quelled the first interview's things. If he had said, I'm not going to be the guy with lampshade on my head, but I'm going to get everything done, that might have quelled the fact, oh yeah, maybe he is a little bit dry, but he knows how to do the job.
He's self-aware.
Yeah.
And this guy, what it also proves to these guys too, is the guy is coachable, and he's self-aware, he's humble, and he's coachable. 3 huge skills. So it's
important skills.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, how many guys do you coach and they're like, fuck you? I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm not changing my resume for you. I'm not going to say that.
I got employees that are along with me that refuse to read the Finkel books or look at instructional videos about how to recruit or how to do I know all that. I know all that.
Well, for those guys, you just got to. I think I'm a horrible reader. I just don't have time. I get ADD. I can't focus. But for podcasts, I can listen to a podcast at the beach or whenever. That's where I learn better from. So I mean, for your guys, figure out how they like to learn.
I tell them, listen to Trish. I said, this is
better than my class on Thursday mornings.
Trisha, go to or listen to Trisha Tampkin's podcast on Ben Menace. Listen to Trisha Tampkin's podcast on Ben Menace, and you'll learn more than I could teach you in 6 months.
I will say, Trisha's. I told this to Trish the other day. I think she has crazy depth in so many areas in this business, and super creative on how she does it. She really does, I think, an amazing job.
She reminded me of stuff that I forgot, that I knew to do. I knew was important, but don't do anymore. And was like, oh yeah, what about that? Yeah. What about that? She does it all the time.
Yeah, she's super. I mean, she really does. She's super deep. But there's going to be Ben Mena is going to interview this lady Jen Meyer. She's in Pinnacle. Jen's my new favorite in Pinnacle. She's amazing. Her average fee is $150,000.
Wow.
She's getting paid on everything, equity, the whole shebang. I mean, I don't know how else she does it, but she gave the greatest talk at Pinnacle last session. Ben's going to interview her, I think, in June sometime for our next Pinnacle podcast. And you got to listen to that one. She is fucking awesome.
Okay, let me ask this question before I forget for the 10th time. I have to keep reminding myself. So, number one, do you guys pump up the candidate, telling them how good they are and how suitable they are for the job? That's number one. And if you've done that, and you tell them, look, you didn't get the job because you said that's what it's part of the job. What if they say, well, the other guy who got the job, was he your candidate as well? I mean, so you're telling in other words, you're telling the guy how good he is, or the woman.
It's okay to tell them that, because listen, you're not their only interview. They're interviewing other companies most likely.
But were you bullshitting me by telling me how great I am?
I don't make the decision. Again, Animal, you must have worked with psycho candidates because professionals actually they truly understand you're not their only dog in the race. I'll generally tell the guys, if they ask me, I'll tell them I've got 2 other guys, I got 1 other guy. If
are you telling them? Then you're not telling them through the process. Hey, you're really great. You're not patting them on the shoulder and saying, "Go get him, champ."
I mean, no, you're missing the point. Honesty and authenticity is what works. Me lying to the guy and saying, "Hey, Tom, you're the only guy in the race. Don't worry about this other guy, this weirdo animal guy. Forget him. He's not. Who cares? You know what? They know. I'm like, you have to win. If you're not the right guy, they're not hiring anyone. It doesn't make a difference. You're not
telling them they're the best candidate. I think you're terrific.
If they are, I am. I think you think there's a bigger secret than there is. The secret is be honest. I mean, listen, if they're telling me this guy is the number one, that's what I'm telling them.
Okay, my point is that it doesn't feel honest if you're telling me how great I am, and then at the end, you're telling me you were telling someone else how great she was.
Animal, you're a great. What if I tell you you're the best runner I know, and you come in 47th in the marathon? Did I lie to you? No.
No, I mean, everybody else would beat me as well. You said if
you're making it sound like we can control who they're going to pick.
This is his move.
Okay. Because you don't listen.
But I listen to what Rich is saying, though. It makes sense, right? I may tell a candidate they're the best candidate out of the 3 that are interviewing, but because I think they're the best candidate doesn't mean they're the best candidate.
No, my point is, Tom, are you telling your other 2 candidates that they're great as well?
No. If I had, first of all, for me to have 3 really good candidates interviewing on one job, that's very, very rare. Now, but if I have
Tom's not that
2,
good.
if I have 2 and one's really good and one's marginal, I will tell the other guy, well, you are interviewing. The other guy has more experience than you in the industry, or the other guy has got a degree, or the other guy has this.
You can coach them up to, hey, this is what you got to overcome.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey, you don't
listen,
think that takes away their confidence in their ability to still land the job?
And they're a
It shouldn't.
shitty candidate.
Exactly. I mean, listen, ultimately, the client, 99% of the clients aren't listening to us on who they should hire. All right. So ultimately, we can only, give our opinions and suggestions based on the information we get back from the client. If they tell us candidate A is better, all right, great. He's the guy they want. That's the guy who's winning the race right now. But we've all seen the guy that's in like second, third, or fourth place. The guy's in second, third, or fourth place, comes and wins the deal.
Okay, well, I won't pursue any more, but except
can I make a comment real quick? The CFO search I did, I had 2 candidates, a guy from New York and a guy from Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. Both interviewed. Candidate loved both of them. Candidates both asked me how things, and I told the guy from New York, I go, well, you're from New York. Okay. And this is a Texas-based company. So that is probably the negative that you have against the other candidate, because you're both attorneys, you both have good experience, you both have blah, blah, blah. Right. So, but he knew that going in. So he had to calm down his New York personality, his New York attitude. Now, they ended up hiring a guy from Texas because they asked me, Tom, they're both equal. Can you help us sort through this? What is your opinion? And I said, well, Brent's from New York. Steve is from Texas. Steve's wife is never going to get upset that she's missing Brooklyn pizza. Right. And if you're looking for a long-term guy who you want to succeed you as the CEO, your chances, now I'm not saying that Brent won't do that, but there is a chance that Brent's wife could say, I want to move back, right? And so why wouldn't you go with the guy in Texas? And they hired a guy in Texas. He's doing great and they love him. And Brent's going to end up, he hired me to help him find a company to buy, so I'm going to make $100,000 off that deal. So it all worked out. But in the end, they defaulted to me and go, give us your opinion, and they went with the Texas guy. But I told Brent going in, he had a negative because he was from New York.
See, my question was, if you tell the candidate at the start, you've got these negatives, they might not be, and I don't think they're bad candidates if that psychologically troubles them. If they're sales reps,
candidates, Emma, when you were placing people, and I mean this seriously, were you placing more junior people? Because junior people get offended by these things.
No.
All right, but senior guys aren't going to get offended by it. They're going to take it as the challenge. And they're going to take it on. All right, well, this is what I need to work on.
No, you guys know a different kind of person. Well, you're south of the border. Maybe it's different.
I mean, you guys in Canada are a little soft, I guess. I don't know.
I guess, yeah. People get offended over being told they're not the best.
Although, what about Rich said, they make the hire, not me. They make the decision. These people ask Tommy to help them make the decision. Rich, do you ever get asked that?
Yeah. I love what they do.
And do you actually say, look, I would take this guy?
100%.
Yeah, 100%. That's what we do.
Yeah. Here's my opinion. I mean, from what I know about the guy, from what I've heard about the guy.
I've done it, but they don't take my opinion.
Listen, I wish it happened more. Some do more. Some do. Some clients more than others. I wish it happened more. To be honest with you, I'd love to be more involved.
And you feel you can make a good decision for them.
Off topic.
Honestly, I feel hiring is a roll of the dice. Listen. I don't care how well you know someone, how much you interview someone. There's a serious amount of risk hiring anyone. There's no guarantee. There's human beings. Things happen. So I mean, I wish there was a crystal ball and you could see how people are going to work out. But
Tom, do you think you can make better decisions than the industry? 26 years. Oh, you're 26 years, I think, right? You said.
Yeah, 26. Yeah, I mean, can I make better
decisions for your clients than they can make themselves?
Maybe.
It depends on certain cases, but like if I have a startup, it's a first-time founder. Yeah, I generally can make a better decision than them. I think if it's a guy that's got 25 years of running a sales team, I think we're probably about equal. Maybe
that's a good point, because you want to look at what knowledge do I have that they don't have that I can help them make that decision. I don't feel like I'm making the decision, but I'm giving them information that they don't know or aren't familiar with to help
the angle to look at it. It's a different lens to look at it from. Yeah. It's like I keep, like right now, there's so many clients. I keep using the expression. It's like I got clients who Tom Brady's a horrible quarterback because he had 3 Super Bowl losses, And to them, well, this guy sucks because he did one bad answer or he had one bad job. So therefore he's not good. And the fact that he made President's Club, 9 out of 10 years is meaningless. That 1 year, oh my God, he missed it. So he sucks.
That's Rich. That's fantastic rebuttal. That's really good. I'll remember that one.
It's honestly, I find it very sad and frustrating. Then these companies, these execs, they'll pass on people because they're just so afraid of, someone having an off year, which happens to just about everyone in sales, at least. It's like, how do you throw all the experience? It happens to everyone. I mean, to throw someone's career away because they had a bad year. I mean, it's moronic and it's weak leadership, in my opinion. So,
anything else? We're close to the end.
Jen
of the time.
Meyer woman, Rich.
Yeah.
She used to work at Sales Consultants in Ohio, and now she's at Govig. I know Todd because they were all old MRI people too. Yeah, she's good. She works construction, building materials.
Yeah, she's a rock star.
Yeah,
she's awesome. Super nice, super cool girl.
Hold on, but what positions is she placing for? Maybe we shouldn't talk about. You tell me if this.
She says I guess they hired her more to run there because their vice president retired. They had a vice president that retired. No, she had her own.
Rich
firm.
said she's making fees of 150. Okay,
well, yeah, she's doing C-suite. She's doing C-suite.
Okay,
right?
okay.
You know, when the base salary is $500,000 or the comp package, she's C-suite guy at a construction company is making $600,000. That's $100,000+ fee.
Okay, well, what if Ben interviews her? She's making those kind of fees for placing people at the top of companies. What can she offer to people who are, placing people for $70,000 or $80,000, and they're making a fee?
How to work your way up to that level?
Yeah, I mean, personally, you shouldn't be placing people sub $100,000 anyway, in my opinion. It's not. I'm just trying to find Jen's stuff. It's not. I mean, you should be placing higher level people. It just seems silly. But she's placing. I don't know. I don't think she's just placing senior C-level folks. She's getting paid on the full Monty.
Okay, but how do you get a fee of 150 if you're not placing people who are making huge salaries like Tom just said?
Because she's getting a piece of the entire package. So I just get paid on the base salary. She'll get paid on the base, the bonus, the equity.
How come she can do that and you can't? I've asked you about that before.
Yeah, it's different space. Like she was there. Like when we were in Dallas, my client was there speaking, and I said, "Hey, Barry, hey, would you ever do this?" He's like, "Fuck no." I mean, so he's like, it's a startup. They're not paying me and everything. You can get a client or two that may do it once, but there's no way the finance guy at a
we
tech
talked
startup
about this before. Heidrick and Struggles or Korn Ferry, I can't remember, got a huge amount of options from Google as part of their fee.
Yeah, Snowflake or whatever. Snowflake or Google, one of them.
Okay, but I think what you're talking about is that there used to be a girl who was here a couple of times.
I've gotten options for deals that I've done too. In lieu of cash, I split the fee. It was like a $50,000 fee, and I took half. I
thought you're talking about what she called trailers. She would place guys, and then at the end of the year, take a percentage based on their commission.
I've heard that too. I've heard. There's a guy today that I was dealing with, Dominic. He's got a bunch of mortgage positions, and their fee is 2 years. It gets spread out over 2 years based on the guy's production for 2 years. It could be huge, or it can be nothing. So they're taking a big gamble.
Is that standard in some industries or business line?
I guess not mine.
Yeah, not mine. I mean, I think in different industries it might be. I've not heard it too frequently.
The money could be huge if you're placing successful people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're placing teams of stockbrokers or
that's
lawyers.
what she was placing. Stockbrokers.
Yeah, I mean, like Danny Sarch, he was in Pinnacle. He has a famous deal. He closed like a $400,000 fee because there was a team of guys, and then it fell off. He's gonna get the money back. Yeah. He tells the tragic story all the time. Yeah.
I did one $172,000 was the total comp, right? It was the base salary, the bonus, and the car allowance.
Yeah.
So the fee was based on all of that, right? So and my clients will, because it was a $65,000 fee, right? Like I think, or no, what was it? No, it wasn't 65. It was 40 some. But the thing was, they understood that going in because every candidate. Part of their comp package was the car allowance, right? That was part of the compensation package. It just wasn't the base salary. And in some companies, they get a higher base salary and no car allowance. And some get a lower base salary and a car allowance. So I can't
imagine. I've never heard of that. Charging a fee based on the car allowance as well.
My fee says total compensation.
Yeah, that was the old. Those are the
base,
old agreements for life.
bonus,
Now,
What about
profit
no?
sharing,
you know what?
stock, everything.
you know what I had to put in my agreement, Tommy? Now it's just because it's funny. You gotta always add. There's different bullets, different lines. Because now I got into my agreement where basically there's a minimum fee, and if you hire as a consultant instead of a salary employee, there's a minimum fee plus a trailing commission. You know, and everything someone's going to earn, and then there's a conversion fee to make it full time.
Yours is different. Mine's all perm positions.
Yeah,
and,
well, mine is
and
too.
a lot of it,
No.
yeah.
That's the point. That's why I did it. Mine was till up until a month ago when this guy tried to fuck me. You know, so now I have it in the contract where, hey, if you do decide to try to think you're a smart guy and go around the agreement, you know, well, now we got this clause. Yeah.
Do you do base plus guaranteed? Like I do a lot of sales.
No,
my industry, guaranteed commission.
If you did that in my space, you'd win one deal and then they'd be like, "Fuck you."
Well, my base salaries are 65, so I'm finding sales guys making 120.
Yeah, my average salary is like 150.
Yeah, see, mine are 60, but they guarantee them 60 in commission, so I base it on 120.
Yeah, that would make more sense. I mean, mine. These guys generally, even if they get a guaranteed ramp, it's not worth it. I'd rather just be busy and close. You know, get
But
10,
like you
40,
said, if our fees are over 25,000 each, we're happy.
Yeah,
okay, so
like my average fee is like 38 grand basically.
But let me ask you this question: if you have a guy whose base salary is 150, right, and you're bringing him to a startup, and he's making 400 in another company. Can't you justify? I'm bringing you a guy making 400 grand. Let's base the fee on 400 grand.
But startups are cash poor.
Okay.
You know, they want to conserve their money. And again, could you do it if I pushed harder on some? Probably. But I'd rather win the war, you know, and than just win the battle. You know, so it's like, could you? Yeah, you could. But I want to be the guy that call every time, not when they're just absolutely desperate. So if I get 25% of a base salary, you know, and a retainer, I'm good, man. I'm like,
because that's why, like with her or with Heidrich and those guys, they're getting a third of every single thing.
Well, you know what kills me? It's like the Heidrich guys getting a third. I understand if you're going to AT&T or Pepsi and you need to source someone out of IBM or something like that. That's a long tail plan. Plus they're getting travel expenses and everything else. Like, I get it. All right, fine. You're going to pay the $1 million fee for that. But when these younger companies are paying that, I'm like, are you guys fucking crazy? I mean, that is just piss poor leadership, thinking they need the big brand name to attract people that you don't need from a big brand company, nor do you want, quite frankly, you know, and most of these younger companies. But what do I know? I'm just a dumb recruiter. So.
End of the show. It was great.
There you go.
I had a lot of fun. I mean, really, I have a lot of fun at these shows. I don't care. That's why I don't care if anybody watches them. Thank you, guys. Tommy Elacio Pistachio, and Rich at cornerstonesearch.com, your teacher in the future. See you guys. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Ciao. Bye.